Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell, and today we're going to answer a letter from somebody whose mom is getting married again. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
No, we are not professionals. We are not marriage counselors. We're not family counselors. We're nothing. We're just two English majors with microphones. We're only here to shed our humble musings to hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding but mostly confusing experience that is love and marriage and family.
Yeah.
All right. Today's letter is coming to us from concerned daughter, whose pronouns are she, her, who is writing to us from all the way down the spiral. Quick content warning before I start the letter for relationship and childhood abuse. I am writing to you guys because I need some navigation and maybe some tough love. I'm currently in a conflict with my mom, and even though we have talked most of it out peacefully, I feel like I'm still in a big head fuck where I can't find peace in my body and I can't stop thinking about it. Well, that was perfectly said.
Absolutely.
I love how that was described. Can't find peace in my body. I'm going to remember that one. Some background. My mom is twice divorced. Her first marriage was to a guy that she had known for 3 months when I was 6 years old. Let's call him A. After they got married, A turned out to be violent and abusing drugs and alcohol. That relationship lasted around 7 years and was volatile and abusive all the way to the end. After this relationship, my mom changed drastically. She went from being outgoing, fun, and bubbly to being very introverted. Her relationships from then on were with abusers of either alcohol or drugs or guys who were controlling. I never liked any of her boyfriends, but every time I spoke up, I was told to stop trying to ruin her relationships and that I just don't want to see her happy, basically, that I'm selfish. Maybe here's a good time to write that I am an only child, and also my mom doesn't drink or abuse drugs. Every time my mom is not in a relationship, she tells me how sorry she is, that she wants to focus on our relationship, and that I'm the most important person to her. Soon after, she will find a new boyfriend, and the cycle will continue. I moved out when I was 16 after a failed engagement on my mom's side to an alcoholic where I didn't feel safe at home. After the move out, there was a period of hostility, but we worked hard to rebuild our relationship, and I thought it was going well. When I was 18, she married a guy she had known for 6 months. Let's call him B. B was very honest about the fact that he used to be a drug addict, but is sober now. Not too long into their marriage, he started drinking and using again. He became very controlling and in general made my mom feel terrible, and she started to become more introverted again. They split up around 3 years ago after being together for almost 10 years. It was around the same time that I got pregnant with my son. My mom was beyond excited to be a grandma and really stepped up. We have once again tried to rebuild our relationship, and it's been great. Now here's the issue. My husband and I recently came back from vacation. When we met up to see each other, my mom informs me that she has a boyfriend. Let's call him C. I wasn't ready to meet him because the month before, A had decided to pop up again and send me a friend request on Facebook, and it freaked me out. And when my mom told me about her new boyfriend, I was honest and said that I think my guards are up a little right now. I won't be able to see him for him, and I need a little bit of time. She told me she totally understands and I can take all the time I need. 2 weeks after telling us about C, she announces that they've moved in together and that they're getting married. She says she knows I need time, but she really wants my son, he's 2 now, and I to be in the wedding, and it would mean a lot to her. She says this marriage will be different because she's done a lot of work on herself. And I can't hold her past against her because she said she's not the same person now. We got into a huge fight, but now that things have simmered down, she says if after I meet him and I don't like him, she won't marry him. They have set the wedding date for September of next year, so they have time to get to know each other. It really seems like everybody else is on board, and I'm the only one that is freaking out. This story is already long enough, so I won't go into the fact that on their first date, he gave her a diamond bracelet, and I generally see red flags all over. When I mentioned this to my mom, she says she is disappointed. I don't think she could find a good guy that loves her. So, am I being controlling? Should I just get it over with and meet him, play happy house even though I'm genuinely concerned about her safety, but accept that she's a grown woman? Even if this letter doesn't get picked, thank you for reading and doing so much for the community.
All right, concerned daughter, thank you so much for writing to us and asking this question. the thing that really stood out to me about your letter is this like idea that everyone else is on board and you're the only one who's like got any reservations about this new relationship. And it reminded me that, you know, growing up in households with abuse, growing up in households where with emotionally immature parents, makes it feel really isolating because you feel like you're the only one who can like speak the truth about what happened. And especially if we have parents who are incapable of corroborating or validating our experiences in the household, it's so isolating to sit there and be like, is no one else seeing what's happening? And I think it often takes us right back to when we were kids and our parents who struggled to emotionally mature denied our experiences and pretended like the things that were happening weren't happening, right? You know, this whole thing where you were like, she was with a person who was abusive to her for 7 years and we never talk about it, right? And now it's happening again and no one seems to be noticing, right? Like that experience is so disorienting and unmooring, and that experience can make it really hard to trust how to balance your own intuition about your experiences with what people are telling you about their own experiences, right? Because it makes it really hard to believe your mom when she has a track record of denying your experience about the people that she's been with, right? And so that is just really difficult. So I'm sorry that you're in this position. And I also want to just say, like, that's totally understandable that you would be really, really hesitant about this new person. It's really understandable that you're seeing the pattern repeat itself again, because why wouldn't you see that pattern again? And I don't know that Sierra and I are going to be able to offer you any sort of like, everything's going to be fine, because we certainly don't know either. But what we are going to offer, hopefully, is a lot of empathy and support and some tools or support in how to hold exactly what you said at the end of your letter, which is that your mom is a grown woman who gets to make decisions about how she wants to be in relationship with other people. And the only thing that's in your control is how you decide how you want to respond to the decisions that she's making. So we're going to get into that a little bit more in just a minute. But before that, we're going to take a quick break.
All right, my darlings, welcome back. And a special welcome to our letter writer. I really appreciated everything Sam said before the quick break. I think the things that happen to us and around us in childhood, especially when it comes to relationships that we witness, abuse that we witness and or experience, it really, it has such a profound impact on us. And it makes a lot of sense to me that you're having this reaction to your parent. Nobody's going to listen to this letter and be like, oh, well, you should just support your mom, you know? Because
Yeah,
it's like, fool me once, you know,
absolutely,
whatever. Like nobody's not on your side right now. I think I say that in addition to what Sam said earlier, the idea that like we don't have a clear cut, everything's going to work out answer. Because while we're all on your side, so many of us also don't necessarily know what to do when we're put in situations of the heart like this, right? Situations that call on our childhood trauma, situations that involve family members that we have such complex, nuanced, painful, and powerful relationships with. You're in a really hard situation, and it feels tricky because it is tricky, you know? I also want to add to the conversation that, you know, this is probably coming through for me so strongly because Sam and we give relationship advice every week. We read hundreds of letters from people who are in their own abusive cycles, who can't seem to find their own self-worth, who repeatedly try to find their value in other people. But I am feeling really strong empathy for your mother right now. And that's not to say she is not a grown-ass adult who can't be held accountable for her actions. But I feel pity. I feel sadness. Not knowing anything about C, the third fiance. I know nothing about the relationship. I know nothing about the self-work and self-reflection your mom has done. So I am only looking back on her choices and judging her present choice on what you have shared about her past choices. And I know very little, to be clear. But with what I do know, with what you shared, I'm feeling a lot of sadness for her. Because so many people, so many women, so many people move through this world with a deep, what feels like bottomless pain and need and wound in them that says they are not good enough and that they need to look externally for other people to validate that. And what I'm seeing in this pattern is I'm not good enough alone. I'm not good enough alone. I need this other person to complete me, even if they hurt me, even if they hurt my family. I am not good enough I am not loved enough on my own. So I need someone to love me brokenly, poorly. You know what I mean? And I don't know jack shit about C, and I don't know who your mother is now versus who she was then. I didn't even know her then, but I'm seeing that the pattern that is coming up for me is this sense of anti-belonging to yourself, this deep need to find yourself in other people. And as somebody who has carried that wound myself, I feel sad that your mother is or was, because I don't know her, but could be struggling with that. And the only reason why I share that is I think especially in family relationships and especially in ones of your caretakers, like your mom let you down when you were younger. Your mom did not present a good relationship example to you, a good, not home relationship. She failed you in your childhood. And I think that type of hurt, that type of betrayal, the safest thing to feel about it is anger. So when she comes and tells you, I've got a third fiance, it's really reasonable to me that you were like, fuck this. I'm so mad at you. How are you doing this again? This is pathetic. I can't believe you're putting yourself in this position again. You just met him. The anger. But of course we know that anger is a protective emotion. Your anger is trying to protect the little girl that you were when you were put in those unsafe situations. And that's okay. All of this is okay. But I just want to say to that little girl, like, I'm sorry that she failed you in those ways. I'm sorry that she made you feel so unsafe by keeping you in those situations, by staying in those relationships that weren't really good examples for you, you know. And also, under the anger, I think you can pity your mom. I think you can see her as somebody who has this big wound, you know, that she really needs another person, you know. And I feel truthfully, I feel a little conflicted saying this, but I'm also just reminding myself that like two things can be true at the same time. Everybody's allowed to seek connection. Everybody deserves partnership or companionship or family or friends or whatever it is that we're seeking. People need other people. So this isn't to disparage your mother or to say that she's weak for seeking partnership. And I don't even want to talk poorly about people who get married more than once. You know what I mean? It's like we all make mistakes. We're all doing this for the first time. We're whatever. It's just I recognize this wound in her that is so, from my perspective, clearly connected to her self-worth, you know, and her value, what feels like her home on this earth, which is not herself, but it is in other people. And that's what makes me feel sad for her.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate that because I think having empathy for what your mom is experiencing or has experienced is important, right? And I want to make it clear that like empathy for your mom doesn't excuse the things that she did that caused you harm, right? And empathy for your mom also doesn't diminish the empathy that I have for you in this moment, right? And I think sometimes we feel like, especially in some of these like kind of adversarial relationships with the people who are supposed to care for us and did a shit job of it, right? That like we've been told because of their emotional immaturity, we've been told that empathy is like a zero-sum game. If I don't feel sorry, and if I feel sorry for myself, then I'm not feeling sorry enough for them, right? And so I think that the way to challenge that is to hold that, like, your mom is a complicated person making complicated decisions that are reflective of her own wounds, right? You know, I don't think that she chose to be in these relationships because she thought it was a great idea. I think she chose to be in these relationships because it felt like the only available thing to her, right? And in the same way here, like, I know that you're not choosing to question your mother's love for this person, or right, but it's just that's all that you can because of all of the experiences that you've had, right? And that makes 100% sense to me. And so I think part of holding the complicated nature of our parents who have disappointed us and who have fucked up over and over again is by trying to hold both empathy and accountability around it, and making decisions for ourselves about how we want to approach these situations, knowing what we know about our parents' capacity to do things that we want them to do, right? And so, you know, Sierra talks about this all the time, right? With a parent that she has a lot of issues with, right? She's willing to put up with some of this parent's stuff because she wants this parent in her life, right? She wants this parent to know her kid. And I think that that's an important framework to bring to this conversation. It sounds like you and your mom have a meaningful relationship together, right? Especially when she's not in relationships with other people or with a man. But it sounds like it's important for you to be there for your mom, to have your mom in your life. And part of that is practicing this radical acceptance of who your mom is and what your mom is capable of. And to a certain extent, that means that we have to say, she's a person. She's a grown person who gets to make her own decisions about relationships. She has a pattern where she does this thing, and this might be another iteration of that pattern. But if I want to have her in my life, if I want to be there for her to help her get out of this relationship if she needs to, I want to be there for her so that she has a relationship with her grandchild, then I just need to accept that this is how things are. And how am I protecting my own peace, my own soul, knowing that I can't control what my mother is going to do and how she's going to be responding, right? And again, she's not doing this because she's a mean, nasty person. She's not doing this because she's stupid. She's doing this because this feels like the only thing available to her, given all of the things that she's learned about herself and her value outside of relationships, right? And so holding that complexity, I think, is really challenging, but it's also the only way that we can move forward, because that is the reality of what's happening here. Your mom is a complicated woman who gets to make her own decisions that you might disagree with, and she's an important person to you, and you want her in your life. So you're gonna have to accept the whole of her, right? And that doesn't mean let her do whatever she wants to do to you or to the people in your life, right? You can decide, I don't want my kid to be around this person, right? You can decide, I don't want to meet this person ever, like this new fiance ever, right? Like, all of those decisions are things that you can do, but you have to accept that your mom is a person who gets to make her own decisions about who's in her life and how she wants those people to be in her life.
And I think what Sam's saying is, when you accept that person as a whole person, that goes in tandem by accepting that you have full control over the ways in which you allow that person to interact in your life, you know, and what you can expect of them, and everything that Sam already said. When you accept your mother as a whole person, it in the same breath, it is, I love how my mom is such a available grandmother. And in the same moment, it hurts me when my mom constantly feels like she needs to have a partner to fulfill herself. And in the same moment, I appreciate how much my mom has tried to grow and change over the years. And in the same moment, but I haven't really seen the proof of that growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And
all those things.
because of that, I don't want to meet this new partner until they've been together for 6 months or whatever. And because of this proof, right? If you can tell her, I've decided that I will be fully supportive of this marriage, but if there is the tiniest whiff of drug use, alcohol abuse, emotional or physical abuse in the home, my child will not be able, you will not have access to my child with this person present, or, whatever the lines are.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Unfortunately, this is one of those really painful, nuanced human experiences where the answer is not just yes or no. The answer is not just cut this person out, or, it might grow to that, right? You have this intuition, right? But unfortunately, the people that we love imperfectly, and the people that we love have wounds that they have been taught how to heal, how to tend to in such broken ways, right? That doesn't justify any of their behavior, but it can inform the ways in which we allow them to move throughout our lives, right? Sam mentioned my parent, and that parent is allowed to exist in my life in a very particular way that they don't even know about. They don't even know the boundaries that I'm holding with them, the conversations that I exit myself from. Do you know what I mean? They don't even know how I'm protecting myself and my family, but I'm doing it in a fierce and loving way, right? And you have the capacity to do that, right? People do have the chance to change, but you've also been through a lot, so you are not expected to forget the patterns of behaviors, the abuse you experienced and witnessed, and you get to choose how you move forward in all of this.
And you say in your letter, do I just need to get over this? And I don't think you need to get over it. I think that part of what will be helpful for you is accepting it as real and true, and making decisions that are informed by your acceptance of it, right? And that's really hard. That's life work, right? Like, that is not just something that you flip a switch and suddenly it feels good. Like, that is your journey probably for a long, long time. And I think it's all of our journeys for a long, long time, is accepting what is and then deciding how we want to move forward in our values, in protecting our peace and what we want and need to protect, and with the acceptance of the people around us as complicated people who are also trying to figure out how they can move forward in this really, really complicated world. So I know that that's like a little bit hippie woo-woo, but the world is sometimes hippie woo-woo. So we really hope that this helps, and we're so appreciative that you took the time to write into us.
We love you so much, and we are really sending all of our love and support. We hope this helps. All right, my pals, it's Friday. I also want to say really quickly, it's our 500th episode of JBU.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah. We've been doing this for almost 6.5 years. It'll be 6.5 years in January of this year. And we love you. We love you. I should have said this at the beginning.
Happy 500 episodes. Feel like we should have had champagne or something for this particular episode.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's Friday, and every Friday for the last 6+ years, we have shouted out something that we loved, something that we want to set you up with. And this week, our blind date is
a TV show called The English Teacher, which is on FX, but also streams on Hulu. It stars Brian Jordan Alvarez, who is like a very funny comedian, writer, actor. I first started following him because of a YouTube mini series that he put out called The Gay and Wondrous Life of Caleb Gallo, which was just like super funny and like exactly my humor. Now he has a TV show on FX called The English Teacher, where he plays an English teacher in like a suburban Texas school as like an out gay man. And like, it's just so funny. The way that he writes is like just like joke after joke that's just like very dry and hilarious. And it's been a joy to watch, and it's been a joy to see his career sort of take off from making YouTube shorts to actually like having and his own television show on like a real network, which is super excited. And, you know, like all our faiths are problematic, so I don't know that he's like a perfect person, but I have enjoyed his comedy for a while, and I'm really glad that he has this show, and it's also super funny. So you should check it out. It's called The English Teacher, and it is on FX, but it streams on Hulu every week. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to our 500th episode. If you want to give us a 500 episode present to congratulate us, you can support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll be celebrating 500 free episodes that we have put out into the world, and you'll get access to a bunch of other episodes as well, over 100, probably 200 episodes at this point, if you're interested in it. And you can get access to that for as little as $5 a month if you go to patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into my DMs.
Okay, yeah, all right.
No, you can't. You can slide into our DMs, send us your favorite relationship memes, but most importantly, you could submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and a review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need two random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original music recording, editing, producing, all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his music and his podcast. And remember, the people we love are often, unfortunately, as broken and disappointing and confusing and ignorant as we can be as humans. They only know what they know. They're healing the wounds they inherited. And we can only move forward with them by accepting who they are going to be, and then using that knowledge, using that experience to discern how we want to establish boundaries, how we want to be in relationships with them, and not expect them to grow in the same way that we grow, unfortunately. There's peace in there, I swear. There is, but there's a lot of turmoil as well. And if all else fails,
just break up.